Shall we start again? Yeah. Okay. We will start. So here, when I say about a framework means here, it is a different set of modules where we combine all these modules to make one single task get executed. So different modules we can say. So a framework is nothing but a set of different modules. Now see the different modules or the frames here. Just one simple example, as I have said earlier, which is the operating system. If you say in the operating system, you have the job schedules, workload, you have file system, security, deal your data, nothing but in your files or file system. What we say, memory management, you have different modules, different works you have. So this is the way how we define a framework is nothing but set of modules, each having its own purpose to do a task. Now we see one more word which is here we call that as clustered system. So clustered system means here you already might have having an idea of what is a cluster, nothing but some set of similar objects. So in the clustered systems here, these are nothing but the combination of hardware and software clusters. Now we can call these software clusters to be as your these software clusters to be as your frameworks. So in a simple word, we call the software clusters to be as frameworks, and this combination of your hardware clusters. What are these hardware clusters means? Nothing but your computing nodes. Nothing but your computing nodes where they are distributed. So what is a clustered system means? You combine the distributed nodes with your software clusters. So with your framework. Now it is like if you say for example, if you're having 10 systems. So in the 10 systems, 2 systems are for workload management, 3 systems are for file systems, another 3 systems are for computation, another 2 systems are for giving some security also. So all these different systems are going for a different hardware components, and to make them work, we do have different modules. So one module will take your data, another module will provide the security, another module will clean your data, another module will compute your data. So all these hardware and software components will do the different tasks, everything to make one single task get executed. So all the software clusters make all your systems work together. Now see this one here. Each one is having CPU, one memory and one disk. Again, one CPU, memory and disk. Complete all these different systems. We call them as one cluster system. So clustered system means here different systems, different modules working for a task, working for a one single task, though they are distributed. So you have got an idea of till now distributed file system. You know what is a framework. You know what each different modules make a framework, and you have an idea of what is a clustered system. Now, if you see software and hardware clusters, which is the same repetition, the same thing what is. Now, two more definitions here we will see: closed and open source systems. Just simple examples we will see here is your Windows OS, for example, is an closed operating system, closed source operating system, which means if you're installing Windows, if you're installing Windows means overall all the modules, whatever you need, all the modules will get stored in your system when you're installing it. So which means that you cannot say, when you're installing a Windows operating system, you cannot say that I want only memory management, I don't want a CPU schedule. You cannot say like that. You have to install each every module. That is what a closed source operating system is. Whereas if you take some open source operating systems, in the open source operating system, you can call what only you need, what only you want. So when you're going for the Linux operating system, you can call the modules what you want. You can install only the modules what you need at free of cost. So keeping aside whether it is free or not free, but we will, if it is an open source operating system, open source system means we will generally call what we need. We can modify what we need. We can again give them to someone else who needs it. So if you take, say for example, if you take Python, so in the Python, we will call what the libraries we need. We want only the packages, what we need, call them, keep it in our system. If you don't want, you will not call. So these are what is called as differences between closed and open source systems are. So open source systems, whether it is an operating system or any other computing system, you call what you need. You will not invite or you will not install the packages what you don't need. Now, keeping all the definitions, the previous terms in mind, the clarity of what all those are, now we will see the what is meant by Hadoop. Uh, just take this as Hadoop is a framework. Stop this one up to here, and then we will see what this Hadoop is a framework means what. So we have seen till now what is a framework. So till now, we have seen what is a framework means. Framework is nothing but different modules. Each will do different tasks and finally combine all those tasks. So when you say a Hadoop means it is nothing but where it has so many different modules of works. Different works are there. Okay. Now, again, we'll come back to the completion of that. See, if you take this here, Hadoop is an open source software framework. So, which means Hadoop has different modules where we call it as a different framework and where it is open source. So open source means we can take it, we can call that, we can install it and modify according to your need. You can change the code in it according to your need. That is what your open source is. So if you take this, now we come back to uh, yeah, we'll continue this definition only, which has come from SAS.com, one website. So Hadoop is an open source framework for storing data and running applications on clusters of commodity hardware. What is a commodity hardware? It's nothing but which has small, less expensive hardware. So with the small amounts of memory, we need not go for petabytes or zettabytes or yottabytes. With the small memory, small. Please mute your systems, all of you. Please mute your systems. Yeah, we'll see the continuation of this. So, and why we are using this open source software framework is for storing your data. And you can say here as storing your big data, storing your big data, and running applications on clusters of commodity hardware. And you run your each application on your different distributed commodity hardware is nothing but cheap, less expense hardware. So you can call that as, when you say that Hadoop is a framework, Hadoop is an open source framework, what for is that? To store your big data. What is the environment is in a distributed environment, and why we do is to process that parallel. Hope you are understanding what I am saying as Hadoop here. So Hadoop is nothing but different software modules, which we call it as a framework. And why we do this is to make your big data process parallelly distributed. Process that as parallelly distributed and to store that big data. Again, we will see few more definitions of your for your few more definitions of your Hadoop is, as we said, like Hadoop is introduced by Apache Foundation. So Apache Foundation, they have found this Hadoop. So we sometimes people, that is why they call that as Apache Hadoop. It is nothing but it is a kind of an organization or the server kind. Again, here is an open source software used to develop data processing applications which are executed in a distributed computing environment. Now that you know what is a distributed computing environment, you know open source software, you know what is meant by a framework, and why we do all this is to develop data processing applications. Again, one more definition which I felt is as also somewhat parallel to this is open source distributed processing framework that manages data processing and storage of big data applications running in clustered systems. And from your textbook, the Checkland, Hadoop is an open source framework for writing and running distributed applications that process large amounts of data. So the same examples we can take what we have taken for data mining to compute the banking applications, the commercial applications, airline systems, your internet applications. All these things will come into your applications. Uh, yeah, we call all this as running distributed applications that process large amounts of data. Large amounts of data is nothing but your big data. So, and my definition is there for this thing is what I wanted to define simply. Hadoop is your set of nodes to handle big data. Just this is my definition is set of nodes to handle your big data. When it comes to the nodes, I'm referring to a clustered systems or the hardware. And Hadoop is nothing but a set of programs which all coordinates to process and analyze that big data. So set of modules. These programs are nothing but some set of modules, which will all these modules where they all coordinate to process your big data. This is what you can define simply. Your Hadoop means it refers to set of software modules. It refers to set of hardware nodes. Both of them, you call them as Hadoop framework. So it is an intention that when you say a Hadoop means, immediately you should remember that you are referring to some set of programs. And these programs will execute on different hardware systems will execute on different nodes, and these nodes are distributed, and the execution will go, or the processing will go parallelly. And I think you have got an idea of what is meant by Hadoop. Hope you got an idea of what is meant by Hadoop. In association with the Hadoop, we are having this Hadoop to be as in association. We call that to be as open source framework. Now you know what is meant by open source is. You know what is a framework is. You know what is a distributed environment is. You know distributed file system is. You know what is a big data is. Now to handle that big data, we have developed different programs, different modules, which we call that to be as Hadoop. And we'll see the simple pictures of that here is Hadoop cluster. We can even call that as Hadoop cluster or Hadoop clients. If you see here, we will go in details in tomorrow's class. If you see a Hadoop, you will have a master, you have a secondary master, and you have so many slaves or clients we call. We will see all that in tomorrow's class. So Hadoop cluster and clients means a cluster system is nothing but where different applications will be there, and where they are all will be executed in a Hadoop cluster system. So these are all the nodes distributed globally. You can take. We will see what these nodes are, what these frameworks are. So when we refer to a data node here, it is nothing but it is a hardware node, it is a system, as well as to make that system to work as a data node, we do have a different module that we call it, that also we call it as a data node. So which means when you say a data node, that refers to both, that refers to hardware component, that refers to a system, that refers to a node we call, that refers to a processing system. As well, inside that system, you have a separate module, separate program, separate task, separate thing to make it work as a data node. Hope you understand what I'm saying now here is. So data node that refers to a software, data node that refers to a hardware. Both are there. So when you say it as a data node here, this particular system will store the big amounts of data. So we'll store some chunks of data. We'll store some copies of other nodes data. We'll store some sizes of that data. The management of all these data nodes here, and to make that data node to get responded to the server here, you should have some software program. So that software program will execute in your system, that data node system. So this is one node. Similarly, you do have different nodes, different data nodes, and you will have one master node, which we call that as name node or metadata node. We will see the details of what this name node, what this data node, what the secondary nodes are. We will see all this in the next class. Today's class, what I feel is you have understood what is high performance computing, what is parallel and distributed systems are, what is the slight difference between parallel computing and distributed computing. There is no much difference in parallel and distributed computing except whether it is the shared memory or a distributed memory. You have an idea of what is a framework, you have an idea of what are different modules of a program. You have what is an open source systems, what is an closed source systems, what is Hadoop, different definitions of it, different terms, what we use in the Hadoop definition. And when we say Hadoop means what is meant by it. It is nothing but set of hardware components, set of software components. Why we are going for this Hadoop is to make our big data get processed. What is the big data processing is? nothing but to analyze your big data. What is analysis is nothing but just to get the retrieved information, what is existing inside your big data with your programs. Your programs again, that is your user end programs, your application programs. Just put them all that on the big data, get it executed, get the results. That is what your big data analysis is. So we do the big data analysis with the help of your Hadoop framework. So what is the relation between your Hadoop and the big data is you make your Hadoop environment to get your big data processed, or, or what you can say is the processing of your big data, analysis of your big data is possible through your Hadoop environment. This Hadoop environment is nothing but Hadoop architecture or Hadoop framework. That is what the relation between Hadoop and the big data. Just the copies of different examples for you to get visualized is different things here, nodes and your master nodes. Tomorrow we will see the details of what these local file systems, local data node process. Tomorrow all this we will see. Different modes of Hadoop clusters operations. Yeah, and if you have any queries, just put it in your WhatsApp group. And how many of you have attended? Let us see. How many participants are there? 33 participants out of 57. Let me take all this attendance here. Or I will do one thing. CSA roll number 1. Please unmute to give your attendance. CSA roll number 1. Number 2. Who is number 2? Please come to switch on your videos. Number 3, CSC number 3. 4, 5, 6, CSC 7.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. CSC 8.
Present, ma'am.
9. CSC 9. 10. CSC 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. CSC 15. 16.
Present, ma'am.
17. 18. 19.
Present, ma'am.
Who is 19?
Umesh.
20, 21, 22,
Present, ma'am.
23, 24, 24, 25,
Present, ma'am.
okay, 26,
Present, ma'am.
26 present, 25 present, 27,
Present, ma'am.
28,
Present, ma'am.
29, 30.
Present, ma'am.
Any LEs in CSC? IT roll number 1,
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
number 2, IT 2, 3, 4,
Present, ma'am.
5,
3 present, ma'am. 3 present, ma'am.
3 present, okay. 4,
4 present, ma'am. Present,
5,
ma'am.
5, 6, louder, 6. 6 is
Present, ma'am.
present. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Santosh. Present, ma'am.
Okay. 7, 8,
Present, ma'am.
8 present.
Yes, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
9,
Present, ma'am.
10, number 10. 11, 12,
Present, ma'am.
12 is present. 13,
Present, ma'am.
14,
Present, ma'am.
okay, 12, 13, 14 is present.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 15, 16,
Present, ma'am.
17,
Present, ma'am.
18,
Present, ma'am.
19,
Present, ma'am.
19 present.
Yes, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
20,
Present, ma'am.
21, 22, 23, 24,
Present, ma'am.
25, 26, 27, 28, 20,
Only
who is-
25, ma'am.
25 is
25
present.
members.
No, no, no. 25 roll number present or not?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
26,
25 వరకే మేడం, అప్ టు 25.
Oh, only up to 25, huh? Okay.
IT, ma'am. IT 11 present, ma'am.
11 present. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. I see 9 absents. Till 25, 9 absents are there. Then 16 should be present.
Ma'am, CSC 16 present, ma'am.
Who? 16, yes, present only. I'll read out the absentees. Number 2, 5, 7, 10, 11, 15, 20, 22, 23.
Ma'am,
CSC
IT
2% ma'am.
5%, ma'am.
IT 5 present, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Sounds like ma'am.
IT 20 present, ma'am.
IT
IT
20
11 present, ma'am.
present, 11 also present. Okay.
CSC 2% ma'am.
CSC 2. Yeah, CSC 2 present only.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody from CSC? Who is roll number 1?
Manikanta, ma'am.
Okay. Vinila, you are from CSC?
No, ma'am. IT, ma'am. IT roll number 1.
Okay. I want all these roll numbers 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 29. All
CSC
these
22 present, ma'am.
22
CSC
present,
18 present, ma'am.
18 present, and 22 also present.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Four members are in university. That I know. The remaining all the absentees, IT absentees and CSC absentees. Tomorrow we will class again at 12 p.m. This to 12 noon. I want everyone to present here.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. Anything special today?
Engineers Day, ma'am.
Yes, day, ma'am.
Happy Engineers Day to all of you.
Engineers Day, madam. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay then. Thank
Thank you,
you.
ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks, ma'am.
You can leave now.
Okay, ma'am.